Hey everybody, this is Expat 2020, your host on The Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast. This is a special compilation episode of some of the best segments of our show from the past year that Dan and I have done since we started The Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast back in July. So I want you to enjoy, and I hope all of you are having a great holiday season. And Dan and I hope to see you in January when we come back on January 9th. So take care, everyone, and enjoy. Each and every episode, Dan discusses something from the world of retro gaming. So his retro topic of the week. So what do you have for us this week, Dan?
Retro topic of the week.
Yay.
That's my jingle. I'm gonna every time now. I assume that both you two lovely chaps have Netflix.
Yes, I have Netflix.
Yeah,
yes.
So obviously, and because you're hardcore gamers, you're going to know that on Wednesday, a little series called High Score came out.
Yay, High Score.
Yes.
Yeah, been watching that.
I binged it all in one night because I like that sort of thing. I'm massively interested. That's my topic. Just talking about that, really. High Score is a 6-part series, 6 45-ish minute episodes, spanning the golden era. You know, that when games were great, not like now. So like, it's like from it starts way before that, but it's like
I knew you were going to say that, Dan. I knew it, man.
True, it's demonstrably true. So it goes from like 70s.
As you listeners can find out now, and you probably know by now, actually, Dan is more of a retro gamer. He's not into the new AAA titles so much.
Hate it. It's a ghost of what it used to be gaming is now. It's rubbish. Anyway, and if you're born post 2000, I'm sorry, you missed the best stuff. Anyway, basically, yeah. So it goes from like 77. Essentially, it goes from 77 Atari Night Jazz up until doesn't even really get to PlayStation. I don't think. Yeah, it kind of peters out the Mega Drive and Nintendo era. And it's really fun. It's not the most detailed thing. There are enormous gaps missing. Like Ralph Baer doesn't even get a mention. They just go straight.
Are you serious?
Yeah, no, they don't even mention him. They just go straight to Nolan Bushnell being the grandfather of video games. So they miss out all the Magnavox Odyssey stuff. There are huge bits missing. They talk about the video game crash, which is actually, it's the North American video game crash because the rest of the world had no idea it even happened. The rest of the world were playing on their other toys.
The American video game crash in 1983, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And they focus on that. But then it actually mentioned that the rest of the world didn't even register. It didn't happen for us. The rest of the world were happy playing on other things. So that's quite interesting. There are lots of Japan stuff. It's very America-centric, obviously, because that's where the people are from. It's where they made it. And that's not a complaint. It was very interesting to hear that. Lots of Japan stuff back and forth. They flip between events in America and Japan and how they play off each other. A bit about Sega in the 90s was good. They didn't go into enough detail on that. They didn't go up into the Kalinsky Sega US versus Sega Japan. They should have focused more on there was a lot of animosity there, which they kind of brushed over. That could have had a whole episode on itself. But yeah, no, I thought it was cracking. I was getting a lot of complaints from blowhards on the internet who think they know everything because that's what they do on the internet. But no, I recommend it. It's a lot of fun. If you got a spare 3.5 hours, sit down and watch the whole thing. It's cracking. Yeah, good, lots of fun.
Yeah, I like that part in the first episode when the MIT guys, the students at MIT, they started their own arcades at the university, and then they started figuring out we're losing money because people are learning how to play these games.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
And so they created the first upgrade kits.
Yeah, unofficial upgrade kits. Like some random guys just started making
unofficial.
Just started hacking arcade machines and selling upgrades. It's amazing. Yeah, it really was good. Yeah, I'd recommend it to anyone. If you're a blowhard who knows it all, don't bother. Just sit there and stick to your flame wars on forums. But no, it was good. I thought it was great.
Jedi, have you watched any of High Score yet?
So I haven't. The rule of the house is anytime we watch anything on Netflix, the wife and I have to watch it together. I am excited to watch it. We're probably going to watch it this weekend, binge it all.
Good.
I
Yeah,
am
good.
a little hesitant because the last time we listened or watched anything game related, it was Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. And my wife hates my industry now, and she hates
That's
me even more
reasonable.
because of the industry. So, really excited to hear it. And just hearing what Dan was saying, I really definitely want to get into that and watch it.
I mean,
Cool.
I mean, sorry, did you say your wife?
Yes.
Yes, I guess your wife. How is she feeling about the whole ongoing Ubisoft thing right now?
Honestly, she's detached from all of that as much as
Good.
possible. That said, she definitely feels there shouldn't be any crazy harassment anywhere.
Yeah.
She worked in the industry as a customer support for about a hot minute.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Cool. All right, man. So that was the retro topic of the week. Yeah, High Score. So that's on Netflix, and it's what is it, Dan? It's 6 parts, right? 6 parts,
yeah,
and it's about 45 minutes each.
I really hope they extend it to the PlayStation era, and then just stop.
Yeah.
Stop at around 2004, because after that, no one cares. So that'd be good. The silver age of gaming. That'd be
But
amazing.
then how are you going to hook the kids?
That's a good point. Good point. I don't know. I don't care. It's for me. I want it for me. I don't care about the kids. Actually, on a related subject, actually, there was a DVD, a documentary made a few years ago called Bedrooms to Billions. I'm sure you've heard of it, about how that was more UK centric, actually, about how the rise of the bedroom coder. People who one man made a game in his bedroom, sold it, and went on to be millionaires, and then founded whole game companies. So originally it was about the 8-bit micros in the UK and Europe, and how it extended across the world. Then they had the Amiga years. So it's all about the Amiga and how that went global, and the rise and fall of Commodore Amiga. And now they've got one called the PlayStation Revolution. I think it comes out beginning of September. So if you're interested in how Sega came to be, how Sony came to be the powerhouse it is now, that's the one to watch. I'm very excited about that. I thoroughly loved Bedrooms to Billions. If anyone hasn't seen it, I urge you to go and download it off the website bedroomtobillions.co.uk.org, whatever. But yeah, if you're interested in your history, it's very long though. Good Lord, it's like I think it's pushing 3 hours. It needs some editing, but they're all great documentaries. So Bedroom to Billions, the Amiga years, and the PlayStation Revolution, which comes out in a couple of weeks, I think. So yeah, check those out if you're interested.
So Dan, what about one of your best and worst memories of the current generation of games?
So it's probably probably Bloodborne. It's the best thing about the PS4 generation. Like I said, it was amazing. It taught me I've been playing games wrong most of my life. It taught me how to play games, which is staggering. After 30 odd years, that's an amazing achievement. So that's the best thing. The worst thing, probably paying for PlayStation Plus at the beginning when there was nothing. There was no, because I don't play multiplayer. I bought PS Plus just to get the extra games and stuff, and the absolute dreck that was the first few months of PS Plus was pretty damn bad. My Xbox memories. I remember buying it and playing Retro Replay, and then going, "Oh, that's good,"
yeah.
and then immediately playing on my PS4 again.
Yeah, I've never pegged you as an Xbox fan.
I'm not anti-Xbox.
Actually,
don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but yeah.
You were really big on the Xbox 360. Yeah,
this is what I keep saying, because you think I'm anti-Xbox, which is really because I'm not. Because I was hardcore 360. It's just the fact that the Xbox One sucked.
Yeah, everybody was a 360 fan. I had one too.
It was funny on Twitter. One of our fans was sent me a DM and was asking, "Why does Dan hate Xbox so much?"
Yeah,
I'm like, he doesn't hate Xbox. He just likes to make fun of it. And that you were a big Xbox 360 guy. But
really?
then, with
collection of games. Yeah,
everyone
with
loved 360.
E3.
Yeah.
with that E3 when they announced the Xbox One, that was what kind of won you over to PlayStation, I think.
Yeah, that they did it. They did it to a lot of people, I think. But I love my 360. I've got a huge 360 collection of games. I've got nothing against Xbox. Just that they've completely screwed the pooch since then. I didn't get a PS. I wasn't a Sony boy until like the last 6 months of the PS3's lifespan. I was I didn't get it till like a year before the PS4 came out, or something mad like that. I think I got it in like late 2013. I got my PS3. So I'm definitely not a Sony.
PS1 with the Twisted Metal 3. Oh, that was so cool.
Yeah, I mean, I had them all.
So cool.
Yeah, that was a hell of a game. But
on Xbox though, that Rare Replay. Oh, that's amazing.
It's cracking.
The Banjo-Kazooie games and everything. That's Perfect Dark.
Yeah,
really good stuff.
Retro gaming's my jam.
Nice.
Cool.
But it was that's the only memory I have of that the Xbox. But it was a good generation, I think.
All right. So next week we'll be doing with our guests. Next week we'll be doing this special segment of our reminiscing of the current generation as it basically enters its sunset, and as we get into next month and get into the new generation with the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, Series S. So we will come back to that next week. So now let's move on to Dan, your retro topic of the week.
Retro
topic of the week.
Brilliant. That's so good. All right, so this week, I believe it's this week or just about this week, Console Wars, the documentary, came out.
On what?
I believe it's CBS All Access.
I see.
I mean, I know it's that because I paid for it. That's how I watched the program.
Okay, so I got to pay for it? Oh, I'm going to look that up. That sounds good.
So we've talked about this before, haven't we? We back in the day when I was still living in Japan, I read the book called Console Wars, all about the fight between...
the amazing stories between Sega and Nintendo.
Yeah. And I've been watching it, and I've been thinking about it all week, really, and trying to get everyone else to watch it. I didn't realize there's going to be a little mini series coming out for it. So it's going to be like a 6-part or so, a multi-part, in-depth documentary, but not a documentary about it. Because the thing about the book is, it's like written like a novel, like a story.
Yeah,
it kind of plays out like The Social Network. Yeah, that's the film, isn't it? In the book, so it's like a fictionalized, people like having these fights, whereas the documentary is very much serious. So
it goes deep into the story of Kalinsky and how he came to Sega of America, and how they built up Sega of America, and then the towards the end of the book, basically how the squabbles between Sega America and Sega of Japan basically destroyed the launch of the Saturn. So,
it was a big old mess, and it was really good. Exactly that. But of course, the book goes into crazy detail. It's. I mean, that is exactly what happened. Sega of Japan completely throwing their toys out the pram, absolutely enraged by Sega of America's success. Yes, because what they did was phenomenal, and getting really upset, and
Sega Japan's pride got in the way.
Absolutely destroyed. And you live in Japan, I live in Japan. We know that's a big thing over there.
Yes,
and it's obviously it's sometimes to their very detriment. They would sooner, they'd fall on their own swords at any given opportunity. But when you look into it and how they actively sabotaged their own success in the States, it's utterly bonkers. Yeah, we talked about this before though, but the idea of it coming out as a mini series,
like a mini series,
yeah. But again, like if you can, I urge you to go and watch it. It's had its criticisms again, like everything else, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I got to say, like, we're living in the freaking golden age of video game documentaries of video game
awesome.
history.
All
Right,
of them.
there's so
They're
much
so
out there
good.
right now.
Yeah.
There's so much. We've
with
had
high score recently.
Oh, yes.
we got
so
High
good.
Score was so good. We got this. We've got a bunch on Amazon Prime. We got Atari's Easy to Learn, Hard to Master. We got King of Kong. We got
Did you see
Man
the one about
vs.
that
Snake.
snakes game where the guy gets a
Yeah.
billion points?
Yeah, with Nibbler. That
Nibbler,
was
is that what
really
it's
good.
called?
Yeah.
The guy
Man
spends there for like
vs.
3
Snake.
days. Plays a game.
Yeah, this is it. They had events where you literally had to stand up, and
Yeah.
how they got around it was like, well, spoilers, but they had to play a game for 3 days straight. So what they did, they'd bank all these lives.
Yeah, to go
And it's
take a
like,
shit. Yeah,
Right,
sorry.
go
Yeah.
for a wee and
Pardon
a
me.
bit of
Yeah,
cake,
pardon me.
and then as their lives just counted down, they kind of rush back and caught themselves up. It's amazing.
Yeah. So you got to take a nap, right? He's got to sleep too,
yeah,
right? Yeah, they
yeah.
bank the lives, takes a nap.
It's lunacy, but
Sorry about that, X-Pat. I didn't mean to swear there, buddy.
No, man, that's okay. No problem, man.
Getting excited.
No problem.
but
It's a great documentary.
yeah, we got so much, and the Bedroom to Billions, the PlayStation the PlayStation Revolution came out on Blu-ray a couple of weeks ago. I can't believe how much amazing material there is out there. If you're interested in like how games got to where they are now, there's just so much out there now. It's it's brilliant, and so much stuff to watch.
Now let's get to our topic of the show. So, console wars, toxicity,
Dun, dun,
tribalism in
dun.
gaming. Yeah, dun dun dun. So, Mocha, are you a particular fan of one particular console?
I am a diehard Xbox fan. I haven't owned a PlayStation since the PS1.
Dun, 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 dun. And here it comes.
It's okay, Dan. You can blame me. I'm okay with it.
Wait, what? Again, can I flag? I haven't got an anti-Xbox bias. I own them all except for the most recent one. Like, what the?
I'm just like at this point, I'm just like so ready for it. Anytime I've like always asked to like, what's your favorite console? What's your preferred console? And I say Xbox. People are always like, there's always like so much grunting and protestation. I'm like, okay, but I mean, I don't know enough about, I think, the makeups and the engineering that go into making consoles and how they make the graphics work and how all of the, computer techie wizzo mumbo jumbo works in the grand scheme of things. So when somebody is like, I'm totally open to listening and talking and learning more about them. I want to, and I don't, which is why I always think it's so funny when people get in such a tizzy when they're like, well, the Xbox is better, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, cool. I don't know what any of that means, but great. So I'm interested. Dan, tell me more.
I've nothing to say. I agree. I find it phenomenal now that, like back in the day when I was a kid, like, the console war was about who was coolest, Mario or Sonic, and now it's like,
Exactly.
the PS, right, and the PS5 has 15 teraflops.
Yeah,
the Xbox has
and I'm like,
16.
great.
And like, yeah, right. And let's not forget that A, it doesn't friggin' matter on any level, and B, no one even knows what half of these things mean.
Exactly.
Like the people, like the same people are like, oh, well, the Xbox, it's got a read speed of 14 gigs a second, and it's like,
I'm like, okay, great.
so what?
How much is that really affecting you in your day-to-day gaming experience?
Well, what does that even, like, people like bounce, like things like teraflops. So what is a teraflop? What does that actually? How does that mean? How does that make the game any better?
Right.
And like, well, it's a higher number than that guy has, and it's like, what, really?
Cool.
Ugh. But no, again, I want to stress, I'm not anti-Xbox. I'm not anti-Microsoft. I've had them all. I've got an original Xbox. I've been there the whole time. And for the whole PS3, Xbox 360 generation, 360 was my go-to console until the very end.
I love the 360.
God damn.
Yeah, until they screwed the pooch at the E3 conference. Yeah.
Well, this is it. And then when the Xbox One, when they announced they announced the Xbox One, and they did it all wrong, and they paid the price for it. It's not me being anti-Microsoft. It's they screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
Big time.
Yeah, but hopefully, now they're on the rebound, though. I mean, with Game Pass and everything else. So.
Yeah.
I suppose.
But this toxic brand loyalty stuff. I mean, I just want to talk about one thing. I got into a kind of a war on Twitter a few months back when Ghost of Tsushima came out. And I had tweeted Yoshida Shuhei, who is one of the chief executives over at PlayStation. He's now, I think, running the indie division. But, I was talking to him, just tweeting that, I feel that the game is historically inaccurate because I have a graduate degree in Japanese history. And I just wanted to point that out. I'm thinking this is going to be a great game and all, but
so you're that guy.
Yeah, so
actually, I think you'll find.
Sorry, go on.
So yeah, I mean, all of these like toxic PlayStation fans just starts out, oh, you hate the game because you don't think it's historically accurate. Oh, blah, 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 and I got like 100 to 200 tweets back on all of this, and and I was just having a friendly conversation with Yoshida-san. It's like,
right.
What the hell? It's just so ridiculous.
Mm.
And I want to bring up one of our listeners. He made a comment about tribalism pertaining to gaming and everything. So he wrote to us and said his name's Turn-Based Carl. He's a friend of the show, and he's one of our listeners. He says, tribalism is just part of human nature. We want to feel like we belong to a group, and once we do, we'll often overlook the negative aspects of that group. It's like joining a cult. Although, as toxic as the console wars can be, ultimately, they are harmless and rarely do they ever impact people in face-to-face interactions.
Bing, bing,
Shutting
bing,
someone
bing.
down, someone down on social media is as simple as clicking block.
Yeah. Can we also agree to get rid of the word toxic in everything? It's so cringe. Like, there are times when it applies, like, well, the much overused toxic masculinity, for example. That kind of is forgivable. But like toxic tribal game wars is like, what? No, dude, that's not how it works. Yeah, we need to get rid of that. But no, he's absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone really care? I mean, I've never met anyone who's hardcore one way or the other. I don't know, maybe you guys have. Maybe you guys have met someone who's literally is like PlayStation or nothing, PlayStation or death.
Well, there's some streamers that are, I think Mocha, you would probably agree to this too, in our like Discord communities that are, very PlayStation centric or very Xbox centric.
Yeah.
In my Discord community, especially, there's some, streamers that only stream on PlayStation, or they only stream on PC, or they only stream on Xbox.
Yeah. And I think like even I've found that there's more of a war versus, the console players versus the PC master race than there actually is within the console, community itself, like PS5 versus Xbox or, whatever going forward. I think that the rivalries and the who does it better is definitely comes from more, at least in my Discord and in my community, that it's like, from PC to console, because I have a lot of people who are on PC and play on console, but are, very devoted to PC, or some people who really just enjoy console play and are not interested in moving over to PC. So there's a little bit of rivalry there, but I think that even it doesn't even begin to the interwars within the console doesn't really begin to touch that. So I think it's crazy that it even gets blown to such a proportion. And I mean, I think occasionally, like every once in a while, I have somebody who comes into the stream and wants to talk about, what console I like better and why I like Xbox better and why I like PS5, or why I don't why I don't own a PlayStation, or why I haven't owned one, or what my preferences are. And my answers are usually very cosmetic. I just prefer the interface and the UI and overall aesthetics of the Xbox and Microsoft. In just personally, I think it makes the games I prefer it. I think it looks better. It feels better. It's much more natural to me. I'm just not a fan of the PS5 UI interface, and that has literally nothing to do with how the console works. So and normally when I bring things up, like, they're like, oh, okay, because I'm not here for the not here to get into like a techie fight with you. I don't know enough to do any of that.
Yeah.
Which that's quite interesting, because for me, like, it's the opposite. I find the Xbox UI like baffling. There's so much going on the screen. That's one of the reasons why I don't play as much. It's just like like you put the PS5 on, and you've got that row of where your games are, and like settings at the end. Whereas if you want to like go to settings, you've got to press like the Microsoft button.
Yeah,
you got to
and you
go
have to
top
go
left.
to the pins.
Yeah. It's I
There's
find
like
it.
tertiary steps.
Yeah, there are.
There's a lot of
It's not.
intermediary and tertiary steps.
Yeah,
So,
I want to check my internet settings, so I got to go to Microsoft, go to settings,
scroll
go
over to the
Wi-Fi,
settings button, open up the network thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I guess like and I think my brain is working almost in the exact opposite way down, where mine is like I look at the PS or the PlayStation interface and I'm like, oh my god, it's like so stripped down and it looks it's like too minimalist for me, and it just feels very like, I don't know. It just doesn't, I don't want to say it feels intimidating, but it doesn't feel as like open and homey and welcoming as the Xbox does to me. But that could also be because, I've owned more Xboxes than I have PlayStations. I had, the original Xbox, and I owned a 360, or I didn't own it. My dad owned a 360, so I got to see a little bit of that. And then, I'm coming. So maybe it's more of a familiarity thing than it is so, but I don't know. I've never about the tech work, because I genuinely don't even know enough. I just like the aesthetics.
Well, it's like was in the show notes, like how essentially, because these two machines are currently they're almost indistinguishable now.
Right.
The Xbox and the PS5 are essentially like we said, like they're PCs in a box now.
Okay, let's move on to the second news story. So I want to talk a little bit about Dan. I know you are not so much into Assassin's Creed, right? What was the last Assassin's Creed game you played?
What was the one with the two Cockneys running around land and tan? What was that one?
Syndicate?
I don't know which one it was.
Syndicate, right?
I've got to go and assassinate that governor over there. That was the one I played. It was all right, actually. That wasn't bad.
It doesn't sound very good.
That was the entire game. Just two Cockneys like, oh, go stab up that governor. That was a good game, actually. I've got no beef with it. I've been interested. The Egyptian one I couldn't care about, but
Origins, yeah.
Yeah, but the one after the Odyssey looked all right.
Odyssey was really good. Yeah. Craze, how about you? Are you into Assassin's Creed at all?
I like them. I haven't played literally all of them, to be fair. I think I played the first couple, and then I played Black Flag, which was probably my favourite. I played Origins. I didn't get around to playing Odyssey, but I'm really liking the look of this new one. But second was always like one of my favourites as well, to be fair, because Ezio Auditore absolutely kicked butt. So,
yeah, it's true.
I thought it was awesome. And obviously like the crowd stuff and stuff, and it was just a really good game. But also Black Flag was a completely different game when they introduced all the ships and stuff as well. It was just, it was so much fun. I enjoyed that one as well.
Yeah, I'm interested to know what you guys think, because, both of you are from the UK, and this Valhalla is going to especially be centered on the UK of the 9th century. So I'm interested to know what you guys think about this. But before I give that to you guys, I want to just talk a little bit about some of the new gameplay features. What really stood out to me is in, like Dan, you were mentioning Origins, which was the Egyptian game, but in Odyssey, if for all of you out there that have played Odyssey, you had a choice at the beginning of the game to choose between the male character or the female character. So Alexios or Cassandra. And Cassandra, of course, was the canon character, but you had a chance to choose between one or the other. Well, now in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the really cool part about this now is you'll be able to choose between the male Eivor or the female Eivor anytime in the game that you want. So it doesn't matter. So you can switch between the male or the female character at any point in the game.
Okay.
So I think that's really cool.
Why?
Well, just if you want a different perspective. I mean, if you want to play as a female character, say you're a male gamer and you're playing the female character, but you want to switch over, and see what the personality of the other, character might be like, then you might want to switch. So I think that's a cool thing. Whereas in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you couldn't do that. once you chose that particular character, you had to play that character throughout the game. So you couldn't switch. So they're giving you that option now.
But will there be like actual meaningful differences? Or it's just like you're getting reskinned and a new voice kicks in?
No, apparently it has something to do with, you know how the DNA sequencing and the Assassin's Creed lore, you know, when it comes to the animus and things like that. So that's going to have some kind of impact on the animus and impact on the DNA sequencing in the game.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Cool. I mean, when I first heard of this idea, I was thinking it was like, I initially thought it was like two different characters and you switch between them, you know, kind of like GTA 5 did between like 3 characters and stuff, and you just join their story at certain parts. And I thought that's a great idea. I like where they're going with this. But then as it sort of like, as it came out more and I read more into it, it turns out that it's literally just the same character, but you're just changing it from female to male, which I didn't really see the point, to be fair. I've never had an issue with deciding to play as a male or female at the beginning. So, in fact, I don't even think I'd enjoy the consistency of the story if I just magically grew a penis midway through the story. Or I don't know. I don't think it's for me.
Well, I think what it's gonna have some kind of impact on the story as well. And it talks about, for example, throughout the game, in the areas where you're going to go, for example, the content in each territory that you go to. So like in Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Origins, for example, all these side quests that you do didn't have so much impact into the main story, but apparently this time it will have some kind of major impact. So that's cool. I mean, you know, like Dan, we were talking about a few weeks back on one of the episodes about going and, you know, taking care of chickens, you know, like on one of the islands in Macedonia or something like that. Right. Well, in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, basically a lot of these side quests are going to have more content that's going to have a lot of relevance to the story.
Yeah.
So, and the story can go off in different directions as well. So,
all right.
Yeah. And then one other thing I wanted to point out about Assassin's Creed Valhalla that's going to be different than Odyssey, for example, is in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, to do fast travel, for example, on your ship, you had to go to a particular location on the map where there was a dock.
Okay.
And then you could get the ship to come to you and then go to different locations. Well, in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, there's going to be, it's called longboat fast travel. So, for example, the river systems, like in the UK, for example, on the map, you can call your longboat anywhere on the map where you are, if you're near a river or something like that. So you don't have to go to a particular like dock location to get your boat. So you can just go right up to the river and call your longboat to fast travel anywhere on the map. So I think that's pretty cool. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, it's interesting little wrinkle.
Yeah, it seems a lot quicker way of doing it, really, rather than just like when you get a game like before, like you said, you had to go to like a dock or something to get your boat. It doesn't really make it a fast travel, because if you know we're near a dock, you still got to travel all the way to the dock it just kind of defeats the object. But this seems a lot more of a better sort of fast travel feature.
Yeah. Isn't fast travel cheating a little bit?
It is a bit.
Like I you know, the Outer Worlds even is an amazing game. But like, I found myself just like fast traveling in it. I think I kind of like, if I didn't have that, I would have spent more time in the game, savoring the world and, you know, enjoying it more if I didn't have that feature. I don't know.
Yeah. Sometimes it is needed though. I mean, last big one I played was Ghost of Tsushima, and to be fair, without the fast travel on that, I'll still be playing it now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it just takes so long to get like anywhere and stuff, and like the missions and stuff, the quests are so jagged. Like one quest will be like right at the top of the map, and before you know it, you're going right down to the bottom again.
Okay.
Yeah, it was all over the place really. So pretty much that.
So that's kind of like one of the points that Dan and I was talking about when it came to open world games, where, you know, they need to start to condense some of these open world games a little bit. So,
Yeah.
because it's starting to get so overwhelming, you know, the maps and everything.
Mm.
Yeah. So how do you guys feel about Vikings in this Assassin's Creed game? Being from the UK, I like a kind of a historical perspective here on this. How do you feel about you know, playing a game where the Vikings are invading in the 9th century?
Love it. We love those guys. We love the Vikings. They're all right.
Yeah, good bunch of guys.
Yeah, great bunch of lads.
I don't know. I mean, my history extent isn't absolutely amazing, but you know, I've seen the series Vikings, and that was sick. And like, yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff on the actual game itself, and it just looks really good. And it's definitely going to be the first next gen game I'm going to be playing. So, yeah, I'm up for it. Looks good.
Well, speaking of Assassin's Creed, that leads us into the next story, Netflix. So, Dan, you have Netflix, right?
I have Netflix.
Yep. Val, you have Netflix?
Yep.
Yep. So Netflix is making a live-action Assassin's Creed series.
Mhm.
From they say the first of many. So, yeah. What I want to ask you guys is, especially you, Val, because you're really into Game of Thrones and the Witcher series, and you know, The Witcher, I think, was one of the reasons why they decided to push the green light and go with this. You know, because The Witcher has been so successful. Now, with Assassin's Creed, you know, the lore of, you know, many games going into different, you know, time periods of history. Do you think we're going to see that with this Netflix series? You know, some people were talking about this could be kind of like I don't know if you remember this series. It was a long time ago with Scott Bakula. It was called Quantum Leap, where he would
Best
go
show
into
ever.
different eras of time, you know, in the same universe, but he would go into different eras of time. So maybe like an assassin would be using the Animus to jump into different, you know, particular eras during a particular season or whatever. But I don't know. How do you guys feel about this? I mean, where do you think this series could go?
Well, I mean, you said they're going to make like a few of these, not just one, right? So maybe they will just focus on one time period for each of these. That would make sense, I guess. I feel like jumping through different time periods would be too much for one, like at least for one season. I would rather they focus on one time period per season at least. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dan, what about you? What do you think? How could this series be successful, do you think?
Just don't bother and make more actual Quantum Leap. That'd be amazing. I bloody love Quantum Leap. I've got the DVD
It's a
box
great
set.
series, yeah.
It's excellent. Proper sci-fi. Yeah, no, whatever. Cool. I never saw the Michael Fassbender Assassin's Creed movie because I heard it was poo.
Oh, I did. Yeah.
Was it in fact poo?
It was, I mean, if you shut your brain off, you can enjoy it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was one of those where it's like, okay, yeah. It's fun.
It didn't do too well at the box office, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be cool. I mean, budgetarily, I think having time hopping across multiple time zones, that's gonna cost. I mean, the reason why like Witcher looks so good as it does is, I guess they've got that one time zone, that one aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know, maybe, but it'd be very impressive if they did. But yeah, whatever, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
I'll probably watch it.
Yeah, like I feel like maybe video games turning into TV shows will be like the next thing that starts happening a lot. Maybe they'll start a trend.
Yeah, that's true. And they've got like more movies coming out. They've got animated Mario movie coming out before long, and there's so many other things that are just ripe for exploiting.
And then there's like competition, and competition breeds excellence or whatever. I don't know the same, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. But I guess it's just a case of like, you know, because games these days, like the writing is generally pretty damn good. I guess it's so much easier to exploit, you know, like the massive lore of Assassin's Creed than it was, you know, earlier games.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it makes sense. It's not that great a transition now.
Casting will be important, though, I think.
Who do you want to be Assassin, Mr. and Mrs. Assassin?
I think. What do you think, Val? I think Kit Harington would be a good assassin.
He'd be cool. Yeah.
I don't
my
know,
God.
but yeah.
There's so many options.
Yeah, so many options. It won't be Michael Fassbender, that's for sure. So.
Yeah.
Are they? So like, I've not played Assassin's Creed since the days of like Desmond. Really, the when it had when
yes,
you had
have. You played Syndicate.
Oh, was that post Desmond? Was it?
Yeah, that's post Desmond.
Oh,
That's
bloody hell, okay.
the one in London. Yeah.
Oh, shows you how memorable that was.
Yeah, like you were saying a couple of weeks ago. Go stab that governor.
Yeah, go stab that governor. Okay, because there seems to be like a divergence in lore in Assassin's Creed, doesn't it? Because it was all very much, it was genetic, and now it's just anyone can do it, and they're just chasing the pieces of Eden. Is that what's happening now? What is the background lore of?
Well, yeah, that is a point that I think the Netflix series producers are probably going to be changing some of that around. But in the game now, I don't want to spoil anything for people who haven't played Odyssey, but there was another particular piece of not like the Apple of Eden or anything like that, but another piece from the founders that the Templars were looking for. But I think stuff like that's going to be changed a little bit, for the Netflix series. I think they're gonna change things up a bit. I don't think it'll be 100% based on the games. I think they're gonna
the concept.
I think they're gonna change things up. We'll see. But
what is the what is the narrative thread between the current games then? How do other games reference each other, and how does the player know how? Because for me, looking inwards, it looks like it's just an interconnected series of assassin games with the title of Assassin's Creed. Yeah. How do the games refer to each other, and how do you keep track of the wider narrative?
It's completely. It's almost 100% different from the Desmond games. I mean, you have a different assassin, and she's like you were saying earlier with the Animus. I mean, the Animus is different now, where it doesn't have to be one particular person's DNA. Just anybody can pretty much jump in there.
Right.
And they've been focusing more on the origin story in the game. Whereas during the Desmond years, you saw, the game with Ezio and the Apple of Eden, things like that. And with Altair, those games focus more on the Middle Ages, whereas the last couple of games have been focusing on the origins of the assassins in general. Yeah. I mean, Odyssey goes even farther back from Bayek, from Assassin's Creed Origins, from Egypt, when he founded the Assassin's Order, whereas Odyssey is like 300 to 400 years before that, actually. Okay. So
how does Origins and Odyssey connect then? What's the connecting
it connects
thread?
At the end. Well, okay, spoilers for people who haven't played the games, but you probably might have played it already.
It's been like 5 years.
Yeah. In the Assassin's Creed Origins, basically, the main character, Bayek's wife, she is a descendant of Cassandra from Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So that's how it ties in.
Oh, it's so confusing. How does anyone keep up with all this stuff?
Right.
Okay.
So I think basically for the Netflix series, it's going to be a completely different character. Everything's going to, some of the premises of the game will be in it. The Animus will probably be in it.
Yeah.
And it'll probably be a completely different timeline, a completely different, era. That's what I'm thinking. So
I think they'll need a modern equivalent of like Desmond just to keep the narrative in check, because that was a nice way to connect all the games together, wasn't it? I thought so. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, one of my friends in the community was saying they should just do the Desmond story and have Desmond as the main character.
Yeah, that would make a lot more sense. And it's way easier for the audience to have that central focus point of this one guy and then these offshoots of that guy. But keeping like one character a constant throughout, that'd be pretty. Well, yeah. Oh, should be good.
Yeah. Val, do you have anything else you want to add to this story, to the Assassin's Creed lore or anything?
I haven't played enough of these games to add more, but I would love to see the Valhalla version of it for sure. Actually, no, the what was number 3? Was it number 3? The one?
Yeah.
Or...
The one when you're in North America, right?
Yeah, Assassin's Creed 3 is in Boston, like Boston and New York during the colonial period, during the Revolutionary War.
Yeah, I'd be more interested in that one, just because I love Viking stuff, but there's so much Viking content out there right now. I would rather Assassin's Creed do something like that, like Boston. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay, let's go ahead and jump to the topic of the show. So last week, there was some waves created online and on Twitter. The creative director at the Montreal studio of Stadio Games, Alex Hutchinson, made some comments regarding streamers on Twitch and that they should pay for a license. And after that, Google, of course, distanced themselves from those comments. So, Dan and Val, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. You think about this and you think of what Nintendo did a few years ago. They tried to take a 30 or 40% cut from YouTubers who were, trying to stream Nintendo games. But I don't know. The question of monetization. Is the current situation a fair trade-off? I'd like to hear what you have to say on that. But first, I'd like to read a comment from a fan of the show.
Yay!
And her name is Super Lynn. She's a Twitch streamer as well. Super Lynn says, I feel like the current situation is already a fair trade-off. Streamers buy the game, and they basically give out free marketing / publicity for the game. I get a lot of invites to be a brand ambassador, and usually they tell me that brand ambassadors have an exclusive, like 50 to 75% off of their products in exchange for posting or promoting their products. But in the end, we still have to pay for the product. It's already a give and take situation, but I feel like Alex Hutchinson is pushing it a bit too hard. So what are your thoughts on this? Dan, do you want to go ahead and start with this?
That's all right. Val, you're up. What do you think?
Okay. Val, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I completely agree with that. That's exactly what I was going to say. We are showing off this game to so many people and exposing so many people to their game. We're definitely potentially making them money. So I think like us paying for the game itself is already enough. We shouldn't be paying more to advertise their stuff. That just sounds kind of odd. Usually you get paid to advertise stuff, right? So, I agree with that. Especially getting discounts I think it would be extremely fair. Especially for the bigger streamers as well. Imagine how much exposure you get with the larger streamers on a game. Like how many people are going to buy that game just because this streamer is playing it? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was pointed out, though, that it's like, the viewership on Twitch has changed a lot over the years, whereas in the beginnings, it used to be more for promoting games and sales, whereas a lot of the viewership nowadays is more for the entertainment value. But if I had to pay for a license to stream games, I wouldn't be able to stream. I wouldn't be able to afford that. So
yeah.
And I think that's the same with a lot of other streamers. That's why once these comments came out, there was a huge red flag. It's like, no way. So, yeah. So Dan, what do you think of this? Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I tell you, some very powerful people who have taken that guy behind the scenes and gone, what the hell are you talking about? People from Google will have tapped him on his shoulder and gone, hey man, shut the hell up. You would never hear this again. There's no way. Like you guys said, one, you've paid for a product, deal with it. What I do with the product once I've paid for it is up to me. That's how the world works. Two, famous Nintendo. I thought Nintendo wanted like 50%. I remember it being
Actually, it was up to 40%, and that's
Okay.
when that's when all hell was raised.
and
And
do you remember?
YouTubers like PewDiePie and everything were just like, no way.
Weird.
Mhm.
Yeah, what happened? Nintendo disappeared off YouTube for a while.
Yeah,
Like,
they
everyone was
disappeared,
like,
but then they created another like a creators program or something like that, where they
Yeah.
didn't have to pay extra money. They didn't have like a 30 for 40% cut or whatever. So
yeah, I don't know how Nintendo got away with that. I don't know why YouTube capitulated on that. I don't know why people went along with it. I kind of wish I'd been streaming just so I could have given a big FU. Because that's not how the world or YouTube or the internet works. That was really weird. But that was to Nintendo. Yeah, they're still stuck in the 80s. Bless them. They're trying, but they don't understand how the internet works. But yeah, no, I don't think you'll ever hear this again. Streamers like you guys, you build massive revenue for these people. Yeah, I think it was a dumb thing for someone to say, and they will have been slapped down for it behind the scenes.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see any of this when next generation arrives. I think this is a moot point.
No.
Yeah.
But I'm always wary of like that the listener comment like of being a brand ambassador where you get massive discounts in favour of positive feedback, isn't it? Usually, I mean, no one's going to say here's 70% off my game. Oh, and just say what you like. I'm always very wary of like full disclosure. If you're going to review games, you should be paying what we're paying for games. Because the difference between you paying 20 quid to try a game and me paying 60 quid to try a game, our reviews are going to be very, very different on those games. I mean, that's just a simple fact. So, yeah, I'm always very wary of like full disclosure in that sort of thing. And I think like, slight bribing people with, oh, hey, we'll give you half price of our games just to stream it, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. That's a different story, though. Very different story.
Yeah.
So, Val, have you ever been approached for doing any kind of branding yet? I haven't yet, but have you?
Actually, today I just received an email to play an RPG game.
Nice.
Yeah, but I don't know. I've never heard of it. It's probably one of those like Raid Shadow Legends type of things. That everyone is making,
like a mobile game or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably one of those, something like that. But yeah, I don't get approached too much. I don't know. On Twitch, it's different. On YouTube, you get approached a lot. On Twitch, you need to grow a bit more before you start getting approached, I feel, and from my own experience. But yeah, I did get one when I was on YouTube. I got one game company come to me. It is like a very like a startup type of feel with this company, just a small team of people who were working on a game called Ground. And they came to me because they liked my content and they wanted me to play their game. And I really enjoyed the game. So I streamed it on YouTube when I was streaming on YouTube Gaming. And it was great. And yeah. And then yeah, like after that, they contacted me to work on another game actually that they were working on, but because they wanted some like input on the story from me, based on what I had done for the Game of Thrones videos, analyzing the Game of Thrones story and all that. But yeah, that's my only experience, I think, with advertising games. And then I just got like a free code for one zombie game on Steam, or a couple of them, and I just didn't play them. They were like, play it if you want it, or if you don't, it's fine. But yeah, yeah, not too much. Mm-hmm.
I see. Yeah, not when it comes to games, but I mean, this podcast, I think, it would be fun, like if we could, like in the next generation, maybe PS6, if we could get PS6 before launch.
Yeah, imagine how cool that would be.
Oh man, yeah.
I like the optimism that there's going to be a PS6. That's adorable.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, or Xbox Series X1, yes. Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the main difference though between Twitch and YouTube. It's like on Twitch you have to be really big for something for them to take you seriously. On YouTube you can just get a few thousand views and you already get good deals.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Now, I have a question for you guys, and this is just something I've been thinking about. Now, of course, Uncharted 4 had, the Lost Legacy, and that was like a 10-hour adventure. And then you have Miles Morales coming, which is another, I would say, probably 10 to 15 hour, kind of like a DLC, but not a DLC, but kind of like an expansion. So my question to you guys is, so Sean Layden, who was the, worldwide entertainment, president until recently, before he stepped down, he was talking about, they're going to have to scale down the exclusives. I mean, instead of having like a 4-year time gap between big exclusives, scale them down. And then, for example, like every 2 years get something. So my question to you guys is, maybe Ragnarok is going to be like a 10-hour type of game, like a Miles Morales or a Lost Legacy for Uncharted 4, that, it's not going to be a full God of War 2, but it's going to be something that they can get out next year. I don't know. What do you guys think of this?
I don't know. I don't think they'd do that to God of War. It's like almost their franchise game now. I don't know. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, no, not for God of War. I don't think. Yeah, there's too much. If the previous one was such a success, and it's I think that'd be crazy to make it a scaled down one. I mean, yeah, generally speaking, broadly games do need shrinking and scaling down, but I don't think it's such a massive thing like that. And no, but I can imagine. And what you just said to me just gave me chills, because I thought of like EA hearing this and going, "Yeah, that's right. We'll make all our games like, in 5-hour chunks and just portion them out over a year." It's a nightmare scenario. But no, I can't imagine. But yeah, some games, it might work. It might be okay.
Yeah, I think for that to work, you need kind of a big base. Kind of like what GTA 5 did. They started off with a great base game, great single player, pretty bare bones online. But then they've patched that online so much to now that actually that's basically a full-on MMO. So, if they can do that sort of vibe and then not necessarily charge for every extra part, then that'd be great. But yeah, I can't see them doing it to God of War 2, because judging by the end of the last game, this will be featured on Thor, right? I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's too much of a big story to kind of shortchange it. And if they do, well, then that could be the end of that franchise.
Well, it could be like they're just shortening it for Ragnarok, but then like in another 2 years, they're going to have the full God of War 2 come out or something like that. I don't know.
That's possible, like a little interim episode. That
could be, I suppose. Yeah.
But then if you'd figure they'd have more than a logo to show for that. I mean, so God of War came out, I don't know, 2017, 18, something like that. It's been out a fair while. So obviously they've got the assets and they've been, I mean, even before God of War 1 came out, they would have been prepping for God of War 2. So they've had a nice lengthy dev period. So I don't know. No, I'd imagine it'd be more of a substantial. I don't know.
I expect they've already got the full trilogy written, because it's all got to link together, I think.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like a trilogy. So hopefully it all links together well.
Okay, it's time for the topic of the show. So this week, of course, we want to talk about what's been going on in the news the past week. Of course, Epic Games and Fortnite on iOS and Android devices, as well as now Apple is ramping things up by threatening to cut off all of Unreal Engine on Mac and iOS devices. So basically, Apple goes for the jugular, kind of like, how Steve Jobs back in the day, when it came to his fight with Google, he was saying he would go to thermonuclear war. So it's kind of kind of a similar thing here. Apple seems to be wanting to go to thermonuclear war with Epic Games and the Unreal Engine. So I don't know. What are you guys' take, man? I think just from my perspective, I think, Epic Games, they, of course, violated Apple's terms of service. Apple 30%, cut. That's pretty drastic. But then again, I think when it comes to the legal fight, Epic might get an injunction when it comes to Apple trying to get rid of all of Unreal Engine. But I don't know, because of the terms of service. I think that Apple could win on that side of the case. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts?
I mean, yeah, Apple could probably win. It is their platform, and let's be clear on this one. Google does the same exact thing. They take the same 30% off, which was why Google delisted Fortnite as well from the Google Play Store. I think everybody knows this is a problem. This is a big elephant in the room with Apple taking 30%. All the developers know it. All the gamers know it. All the people that use mobile. You talk to anybody on Twitch. Don't buy a subscription. Don't buy bits. Don't buy anything on mobile. Do it on the website because it's cheaper and you get more out of it just because of the inflation and how it works. The only way that Apple is going to really change anything is if any other developer, studio, any other company that has in-app purchases comes into Epic's aid and says, yeah, you know what? We're going to do the same thing. We're going to pull our stuff. We're going to side with Epic on this. Epic isn't really, I think, putting anything on the line. I mean, the Unreal thing I don't think is going to fly. That's just, I think, insane on Apple's part. They make enough revenue on just PC alone that they don't really need the mobile. It's them just making the statement. So sure, they can go ahead and do it. They can go toe to toe. I just don't know if Apple is going to change.
Yeah. Dan, what do you think? Yeah.
Okay. As for the legal thing, who's got the most money?
Apple, of course.
I feel
there
Apple.
You go.
Yeah.
So that's the court case decided. So when it goes to court, Apple's going to absolutely destroy Epic just because they can afford to. So there's that. The whole idea of the walled garden thing is really naughty. I think it was a very silly thing by Google, though. I mean, Google should have instantly kind of tried to build bridges with Epic, I'd have thought, just to set them... Because rather than lump in with Apple as the bad guys in this story, they could have gone, yeah, maybe we should rethink our approach to this thing. Maybe we could work together with Epic, and they could have built some goodwill between them, Epic, and Epic's potential audience. So the fact that they instantly, without even thinking, just went, yeah, no, we're yanking you off the store as well, strikes me as weird. And 30%, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And actually, funny we said, because I was reading an article this morning, and there was an article about how Apple is kind of making in-app purchase mandatory. Like, there are certain programs that you buy once or are free, and Apple's kind of gone, yeah, you're not making any revenue. You've got to put some sort of recurring spending in your program, or we're going to boot you off as well. So it's kind of like, it seems quite evil. Like mandatory in-app purchases just so Apple can make 30%, and things that don't even need it are being kind of like strong-armed into having these things in, so Apple can take 30% of whatever you might be selling.
Very predatory.
It is. But the whole throwing their toys at the pram and like just basically trying to destroy Epic. We're not going to give you the source tools. We're not going to allow Epic your engines to be optimized for the Mac OSs and all this stuff. Is like, wow, it's really childish. But Apple's already in a bit of trouble anyway for like various antitrust things going on in the States anyway. So I don't know. It might be interesting. It might have a chance. But fundamentally, I agree. They make all their money on PC and consoles anyway. I don't know why anyone would choose to play Fortnite on a mobile anyway. But obviously there's a revenue stream there because they were getting it through their website and stuff. I don't know. Seems shady.
Yeah, and I think the only thing I'll agree with Apple on here is one of the things that Epic tried floating was to create their own app store for iOS. I agree that on Apple, you should be making purchases through one thing. Apple has been pretty good about locking down their users, their datas. so that people don't get into it. I think that they have been good on that end. I think opening up more stores does open up risk. That said, they 30%. Come on, I mean that's 30%, and you think of mobile. Most mobile purchases are $1 to $5. Like 30% on every dollar. It's just way too much for what it should be.
I want to read from one of our listeners. Actually, all of the listeners can, write into us and ask questions to us on all of the platforms where the podcast is available. Jedi, I think you know this person. He's from the community of gamers. Shu. I think you know Shu.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he writes in and he says, as someone working in the game industry, it just looks like a mega corporation versus another one. Epic is trying to make it look like they're doing it for the players. But as for all battles between two mega corporations, it's only about money. And as I said, I side with Google and Apple on this one. Even if I agree that a 30% cut is gigantic, the industry as a whole knows about it and takes it into account. Google and Apple offer their service as a distributor to anyone and everyone as long as they fit their policies, and I think it's normal to get a cut on what people sell using their service. Having a product, for example, a popular one on top of that, setting up a system to sell things using your service without you having any control is not okay. And if Epic sets an example on this, who knows what other companies will do using this system. And then he says, think about an app selling illegal things on the App Store that Apple can't regulate. What Epic did was the same as a toy company, setting up stalls in every supermarket in the world without asking for permission from them, grab their products on the shelves, for example, products the supermarket pays to transport and distribute all around the world, and sell them directly to the supermarket customers without paying anything to the firms. And he says, I don't know if this makes sense. English is not my mother tongue. Actually, Shoop is from France, but he's doing his best to get his point across here in English. But anyway, so he says, on top of that, Epic is trying to play the victim, saying, look at the poor small developers that won't be able to use Unreal to make games for Apple, while taking a cut on games made with Unreal Engine. They're also trying to send hordes of angry gamers as an enemy to hate on Apple. And so at the end, he says, so long story short, Epic doesn't like Apple getting their money. Apple doesn't like Epic trying to F them over. So that's from one of the listeners, and he's writing in, and he is basically on the side of Apple and Google in this fight, in this
Burn
situation.
Him alive.
So.
But only kidding. Only kidding.
Yeah.
That was good. That was a good point. Well made. The analogies were a bit wobbly, but yeah, I see where it's coming from.
Yeah, well, he's saying English. Sorry, English isn't my mother tongue.
No,
so,
I get it. No. There's nothing wrong with his prose itself, but the actual method, the actual analogy itself, the supermarket one is good. But yeah, I mean, I get it. I must disagree though. But I'm a massive lefty, so I'm anti-corporation anyway. Even Epic is, pretty insidious and evil in itself. But I don't know. Yeah, I can't get past the whole inherent greed of 30% for basically holding web space for an app. I mean, they're going about their security, but I don't know how much really that comes into it. I don't know. Yeah, let's not pretend that Epic's the good guys really, because they're just a shady.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's shocking. But the idea, it does. What sucks about this mainly is when Apple threw their toys out the pram and went, screw all of Unreal. Like people trying, Epic rather. The devs who are smaller devs trying to make their game using Unreal or the like, are kind of be like, well, you are SOL because we're not going to host it because it was made using that software. So yeah, that's the worst part of this all. The people who might be making games looking to put on the Apple App Store. Is that still number one? Is that the number one Apple, mobile marketplace? Has the Play Store caught up with it yet? I don't know. But anyway, those guys making their little games for Apple, they're the ones that are going to be hurting the most from this, I reckon, probably.
So, Jedi, I have a question for you, coming from a developing perspective here. So, let's just hypothetically here. Let's hypothetically say Apple, they went out and they are able to take out Unreal Engine from the iOS stores, from Mac OS, things like that. So, what do small developers turn to? Since they won't be able to use Unreal Engine, what would be the alternative for them?
I mean, if you're talking about mobile specifically, or anything, it's tough. Unity's out there. The act of taking away Unreal for a developer that is mid-development of any game is going to be a huge change. You just need to find a different type of IDE that you can go to, but I can't even imagine being in the shoes of someone saying, okay, we're getting ready to wrap this up in the next few months, and oh crap, we no longer have Unreal. That's just wild to me. Now, there are ways you can still download Unreal. It won't be optimized. You can still get it and sideload it onto your Macs. You can do that with any program for the most part on the laptops. You download them directly from the website. But getting it directly from the App Store adds a bit of security behind it and optimization, as we say. It'd be rough to continue without Unreal, though.
Does anyone, as an industry insider, does anyone actually use the Macs for the actual anything other than art assets in games? So is any actual coding and actual construction actually done on a Mac in the industry?
So I've been at probably 4 to 5 different studios the past 5, 6, 7 years, and yes, we've used Macs at half of them. Unity is big on the Mac. Unity works and runs well. I'm trying to think what else we used. There's a couple other engines that we use. So yes, there definitely is development done on Macs.
Huh. Interesting.
Hey everybody, this is Expat 2020 again. I want to thank you all for listening to this special compilation episode where I put together some of the best segments of the year here on the Arena Multiplatform Gaming News Podcast. And we just want to thank you all again, Dan and I, for tuning in and listening to us this year. And we're looking forward to bringing you more content and the podcast next year from January. The first episode in January will be on January 9th. So to end the show, our indie recording artist spotlight for this special episode is on Colby Knickerbocker. Colby's tunes represent his thoughts and life experiences transferred onto pen, paper, and sound. From the title of his album, the song is called Kindness, Courage. So thank you very much, everybody. This is Expat 2020. I hope to see you in January. So take care. Peace out.
Let the first sound you hear be a beating heart, speeding bright, speeding bold. As when your eyes come to me, I'm humbled constantly, a supernova in sight. Fall of the mountains in your breath. There are dreams, there are dreams. Remember, yours is the heart that paints the world the very best in the colors of your life. So be kind, have courage, treat yourself with dignity, walk tall, speak sweetly, be brave enough to leave. It's when you're caught in the darkness that comes over me. Remember, yours is a light that the darkness cannot be. That yours is a light that the darkness cannot be. May you find that your heart, it burns as big as your mother's, and your smile just as bright. Remember grace when you fall and turn to shadows like your father, and the words to make it right, make it right. Kind, have courage, treat yourself with dignity. Walk tall, speak sweetly, be brave enough to leave. It's when you're caught in the darkness that comes over me. Remember, yours is a light and the darkness cannot be. That yours is a light and the darkness fall into stars, find your place among the orchards. Know you're perfect as you are.